I think for many people, finding an answer seems like our life's work, and there's not always going to be an answer. There's never been one thing where anyone, even in functional and holistic medicine, said, this is what's wrong with you, and then they fix it. It's always like the uncovering of something else, especially when you've been sick probably as a baby and into your childhood. So I've looked into, I've shifted my mindset more into, instead of looking for the answer outside of me, I try to really look for the answer inside of me and trust my intuition as I move from thing to thing, but also have a lot of trust in my body that it is capable of healing. And I don't need to have this answer for it to get better.
We often hear people wishing us a long, happy, and healthy life. But what if the length isn't what matters most? What if instead it's the breadth, depth, and purpose of each day that matters most? Welcome to the Live the Width of Your Life podcast. My name is Aneta Ardelian Kuzma, and join me weekly as I interview guests who made changes in their own lives to live more fully with intention, gratitude, and joy. Be prepared to be inspired by their stories of how they shifted their mindset, took courageous action, and designed the life that they always wanted to live. Today's guest is Jaclyn Renee. Jaclyn Renee assists her clients in helping their gut using food and self-care as their medicine. Having gone through many of her own illnesses, including IBS and anxiety, Jaclyn entered the world of holistic health when countless doctors and tests were not working. She helps her clients peel back the layers of their health, starting with the gut, which she believes is the root cause of all disease. With personalized programs, diagnostic testing, and lots of accountability, she can help her clients get their health back on track and feel comfortable in their own skin. Welcome, Jaclyn. Hi, Jaclyn. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I am so excited. I have been following your journey on Instagram, I think for probably the last year or year and a half. I think we had a mutual coach in common, Sarah, at some point. And so that's how I first started following you. And I'm, of course, obsessed with health and wellness as well. And so I love to see everything that you're doing. But for those that aren't familiar with you, can you just share a little bit about your story and your background and how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll condense it a little bit because, it's a very, very long, arduous story of getting to where I am today. But, you know, like many people who are in the health and wellness industry, I had my own journey of struggles to get here. I was sick as a child in the 80s, dating myself, but, and holistic health, naturopathic doctors, functional medicine, that wasn't really very popular then, or nobody really knew about it. So it was a lot of in and out of the hospital, in and out of doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me. When it morphed into my teenage years, it manifested as anxiety. Obviously, we know, and I'm sure your listeners know a lot about the brain-gut connection.
Yes.
And so the gut issues, morphed into a lot of angst and anxiety and anger. And so instead of getting to the bottom of my health issues, I was put into the mental health category or poor mental health category. And then, I went from everything from them diagnosing me as bipolar to just saying it was all in my head, all different types of medications and, behavioral management coaching. I barely graduated high school, barely. Like I had to beg a teacher to pass me. I almost didn't walk. And I thought for a long time, like, I'm just stupid. I'm just not able to do a lot of the stuff. I don't have concentration. And then I became a hairstylist. I was very creative and I was very good at that, and obviously doesn't require a lot of schooling. And so I jumped right in, and my boss at the time said, I noticed you talking a lot about your health issues. You might want to see this naturopathic doctor. Again, had no idea what it was. And I met her, and that's kind of when my life changed. I was 20 years old when I saw her, and she taught me about candida. She taught me about gluten sensitivities. She taught me about so many things. And obviously, it's now a 20-year journey here. I'm turning 40 in a couple weeks. But it's interesting how you move through your holistic journey, because originally I thought, well, I'll just go to McDonald's and I'll get no bun. I'll just get the burger. And like, that's
Mhm.
healthier. And now it's
Right.
like, you pay me to go. So it just kept unfolding and peeling back the layers, learning about our environment, learning about, everything from air purifiers to colon cleanses to supplements. And here I am today. So I went back to school. I graduated with honors. And
Congratulations.
I was like, okay, you can really heal yourself and it's not all in your head. And that's why I wanted to do what I do today.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that about your story. So that must have been so challenging from the time you were young until 20, just not having answers to why you weren't feeling right.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think for many people, finding an answer seems like our life's work,
Mm,
and there's not always going to be an answer. There's never been one thing where anyone, even in functional holistic medicine, said, this is what's wrong with you, and then they fix it. It's
mhm.
always like the uncovering of something else, especially when you've been sick, probably as a baby and into your childhood. So I've looked into, I've shifted my mindset more into, instead of looking for the answer outside of me, I try to really look for the answer inside of me and trust my intuition as I move from thing to thing, but also have a lot of trust in my body that it is capable of healing. And I don't need to have this answer for it to get better, kind of
Oh my
moving through
gosh.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's difficult for many people, right? Is one believing that your body is capable of healing itself, but then
Mhm.
two, being able to listen to what your signals are telling you. Like looking back on your experience, are you able now to see that your body was sending you specific signals about food that you were eating or toxins that you may have been exposed to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I grew up on the traditional standard American diet, or SAD as we call it.
Yeah.
And I had food addiction. I was never really overweight, but I had carried a lot of weight in my belly, even for like a kid. And, bloated all the time, acne, cystic acne all over my face. So then you go treat the symptom, like I went to get acne treated and then they put me on things like, spirulactin or whatever it's called, antibiotics, steroids for, inflammation, all sorts of stuff. And you try to figure out what the one thing is and get it fixed, but it never really resolved. So yeah, there was a lot that went on there.
Wow. So at 20, you went to see this naturopathic doctor,
Yeah.
and now you said it's almost your birthday. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
20 years later. So now this next 20 years, tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about how did you start to heal yourself? What was that progress like? And then how did you start to help other people in their own wellness journey?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I'm gonna say it's like a three phase. The first
Okay.
phase was like, okay, I understand this. I understand that there's an alternative here. I'm
Hmm.
receiving it. I'm accepting it, because you didn't have to pull me away from Western medicine because it already wasn't working for me. It wasn't like you had to
Hmm.
change my mind. Where I do feel like there's a phase where people are learning about holistic medicine, and you have
Hmm.
to sort of change their mind on that there's another way because it's
Yeah.
not so popular. So I was already like, okay, I'm into this, I'm understanding it, but I was like one foot in, one foot out. I mean, I was
Hmm.
20, 21, 22. You're going out, you're partying with your friends. My friends were all in college, so I was visiting up at college. So it was like during the week, I lived this super holistic life. And then on the weekend, I was treating my body like a garbage can.
Yeah.
And so, for many years, I healed enough to feel better, but not enough to actually feel good. And
Mm.
so, I dabbled in that for a long time, one side and the other. And then with every year, it unfolded. And at the age of 30, I decided I couldn't be in my industry anymore. I couldn't do hair anymore because of the chemicals, of the very um, arduous schedule, standing all day, not
Sure.
eating, running around, fixing
Mhm.
everybody's stuff. And so I was married at the time, and I asked my partner, I said, I would really like to get out of this industry. I don't know where I'm going yet. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to get better. And the only way I'm going to get better is if I really actually take the time to heal. And
Mhm.
so we collectively decided I was going to take some time off work. I ended up taking 6 months off work. Um, and my trainer said to me, my personal trainer said to me, why don't you come assist me in the gym? Just get out of the house, start moving around. You're
Yeah.
starting to feel better. So I ended up getting my certification to be a trainer. And then while
Mhm.
I was training people, I was like telling them about holistic nutrition. I was talking about food as medicine. And people ended up not really working out when they were with me because I was talking about food much, So I thought, well, this is obviously clearly what I need to do. So I stepped into that journey. I went to IIN. I
Mhm.
started working underneath functional medicine doctors and learning through different programs that I did. And it just built on itself. So that was kind of it just happened. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just, it just happened. But I truly believe when you allow life to flow and you're not forcing against it, that what is meant for you will happen.
I completely agree. And how fun that you and I have the IIN connection too.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see how many folks have graduated from the institute, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So you started sharing your passion, things that you were good at. You put yourself out there. You took a bold step to stop working, right? How important was it for you at that time to actually stop doing what you were doing before and start taking some steps in this new direction, do you think?
I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't do it.
Mhm.
Honestly, I when we when we have more time, I would go into some of the depths of the hard days that I had, where I couldn't get out of this cycle of how sick I was. It was hard
Mm.
for me to even get out of bed some days. And I even remember that there were some days where I would get to work early just to like hype myself up and cry in the car because I'm like,
Oh,
you can go in, you can do it, like move your body. But like my
yeah.
body wasn't listening to my mind anymore. And for anyone listening, if your body isn't listening to your mind anymore, meaning you're trying to tell your body to do stuff and it won't do it anymore, that's the
Mhm.
point. That's the
Right.
stop. That's the hard stop where you have to say, and I would say, take a weekend off, take a few days off, and really just connect with your body and say, what am I willing to put my body through anymore? For
Mhm.
what? My, hefty salary or letting down my clients or whatever it was. I couldn't do it for anyone else anymore, but it didn't happen overnight. It was a
Right.
progress, it was a progression of me getting there. So if you're there, you're almost there now. Do it before it gets too bad.
Right. Yeah. So, and then today, so tell us a little bit how you've taken your story, your own journey. You've gotten healthy. I mean, you look like the picture of health here. Do you find yourself really healthy right now? Do you feel like you are in a good stage?
Mhm. That's a good question. I would ask you, can you define what healthy feels like to me, or can we define that together?
Yeah. For me, it means, I think of optimal health as mental, physical, emotional, in
Mhm.
complete alignment. And I also think about the ability, as you said, to be able to tap into your own body and to follow the signals. For me, digestive health is a huge part of it because I know that when my digestion is off, I don't feel right. When my hormones are not stable, I don't feel well. So sometimes I always start with what doesn't feel good or what doesn't, does that feel like? And then you can sort of say the opposite is health or feeling good. But I would love your definition of what
Yeah.
that is for you.
I would say you're pretty spot on with that. I always like to know what people
Mm-hmm.
say when they say, "Are you healthy?" Because, healthy is different, I think, than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just like getting your vitals checked and your blood taken and like everything coming back normal doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. But also, looking like health doesn't always mean that you're healthy. Because I know a lot of women who
Yeah,
are
it's true.
absolutely drop dead gorgeous, totally fit, all this stuff, but they are struggling inside really bad.
Hmm.
So, I agree with you. And I think it is that trifecta or the
Hmm.
tripod, the mental health, the physical health, and then the
Yeah.
connection to the body or spiritual health,
Yeah.
however you want to say it.
Yeah.
I do feel, just to answer your question, I do feel
Hmm.
the most in alignment with myself, my body, and my health that I've ever felt.
Hmm.
Um, However, I did have my implants taken out last year. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I
Are you familiar
did.
with
I
surgery?
am, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about your story of how long you had your implants in, and then the journey in order to actually make the decision to go through the
Yeah.
surgery and the recovery too?
Yeah, so around 26 years old, 27 years old, I got the implants in. At that point, I was not a healthy vessel. So you
Hmm.
add a foreign object to an unhealthy vessel. And clearly, if I was healthy and felt in tune with my body and loved myself, I wouldn't maybe have necessarily made the choice to
Right.
alter my body. So I made the
Hmm.
choice to alter my body and, didn't really change much for me physically or
Hmm.
mentally, just more aesthetically. And I went through life with them. And, I struggled when I was married for 6 years with infertility. I still had inflammation, even though I was on a gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, alcohol-free, caffeine-free diet. I lived most of my life paleo. I had a lot of anxiety. Even when I quit doing hair and I was healing, I was still struggling with health issues and infertility at that time.
Hmm.
One of my best friends sent me an article on the connection between infertility and breast implant illness. Had no idea.
Wow.
Did some research, learned more about it, and ultimately knew at some point I was going to take them out. But for anybody who has taken them out or is thinking about taking them out, there's this part of you that is afraid to let go, afraid aesthetically what you'll look like. And you have to get to that place, that decision on your own. An article isn't going to be what pushes you. So it took me another couple of years to actually reach out, make the appointment, get them
Mm.
done. And, you know, I thought, okay, whatever's left of the 15% of health issues that I have is going to magically heal when I take these out of my body. But that was actually truly when the real healing began.
What does
They're
that
out
mean?
now. Yeah, they're out now. They left their legacy inside of my body. Foreign object inside, two foreign objects inside of my body near my lymph and my heart and my lungs for a very long time. And they did a lot of damage. So not to say that I don't like to say this, but I partially have to, not to say that I was starting over, but in some
Hmm.
sense I was, because I had to reevaluate what was new for me and what needed to happen. So I set into working with, I'm a firm believer in I'm not going to heal myself. I'm not going to diagnose myself. I'm not going to be the one to do all this stuff myself, because then you do patchwork healing. So I called
Hmm.
on a dear friend of mine who is a functional practitioner, and she's helping me through the detoxification of what's going on in my body from 10 years of having implants. And I started working with her, and we were about to gear up to do a lot of the detox. And my mom passed away.
Oh
She
my
had,
gosh. I'm sorry.
there's no stage, small cell carcinoma is like the highest stage. Cancer, she died really quickly, um, within 6, 7 months of getting the diagnosis. And so I had to stop my healing, focus on her healing, and then focus on my grief healing.
Hmm.
And, then I got a little worse because that trauma on your body. So the reason why I'm telling you all this is because, yes, healthy is physically, mentally, and spiritually healthy, but there's life happens and bruises happen. You just have to figure out how to never let it break you. Like, you can get the bruises, but it can't break you. So now I'm addressing a lot of health that needed to be addressed over the years. And so I am the most in tune with my body. I feel the most healthy, but I'm still
Hmm.
working through some health issues that need to be worked through. And
Mhm.
I say this, I want to talk about this because people think that there's this ultimate health you will achieve and that you are just then healthy and you'll never look back. But I don't know
Mhm.
that life is like that anymore, especially with our environment. And then you throw in a
Yeah.
virus and all these weird things that are accumulating, So I
Yep.
would say I feel 90%, and I like feeling 90%,
Yeah.
if that feels
Oh,
good.
well, thank you for sharing that. And thanks for actually opening up and sharing so much about your story there. And
Mhm.
I'm so sorry to hear about your mom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Challenging things happen. Yeah. What would you say emotionally it meant for you to release the implants and a
Mm,
decision that you made in your 20s?
that was a journey in itself. When I made the decision to do the implant surgery, I was living in Cabo at the time, and I have a really dear friend that I would have amazing conversations with. And we were having a conversation, and I just like burst out into tears. And he was like, "What are you feeling?" Because we were talking about the surgery. And I said, it's just so funny that it's just like a bag filled with goo, but it represents so much more. And, I think so many women put so much value on how they look or what they look like in clothes. And it becomes a part of you. It became a part of me, how I looked in everything.
Hmm.
And so releasing that on an aesthetic and superficial and physical level was really hard at first. But it was almost like as soon as they were out and a few weeks went by, because the first few weeks you do look pretty botched, you look pretty bad, but then you start to look normal again, and
Hmm.
you're just like, you never look back. You forget that it ever. I don't even think about, like, some people will say, like, do you remember when you have implants? And I'm like, not really. Like, it was only a year
Oh.
ago, but I like can't even feel that.
Hmm.
So there's going to be a little hump or like a wall you need to get through where you're releasing what you look like physically and the fact that you've had them for a while. But you ultimately, once you kind of break through that, you feel 10 times better. So
Hmm.
there's like no looking back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. One of the other things you just mentioned was that you still live in Cabo, but I think that I see that you live in many places. So, what is your approach to life in terms of either travel or where you choose to live?
Mhm. Yeah. So I say this all the time. Your home is your body. It's the only home
Mm,
you will live in for the rest of your life. And I have a lot of detachment from stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I live a very minimal life.
mhm,
I don't feel the need to have a lot of things. And I make my life very easily movable because I want different experiences. It was one of my major goals in life to become a digital nomad or to become a snowbird by the time I turned 40. And I'm, so excited to be able to achieve that. It's just about where I want to be. And
mm,
eventually I do would love to call in a partner and have a home with that partner someday. But I also would love for him to be able to travel with me too, and for us to live a travel
mhm,
life so that you can experience a lot. So I kind of just connect with my source and, my angels and my ancestors and feel into like what's the next place for me. And so Michigan will always be home base, but
mhm.
the next base for me in the next 2 months, I'm leaving for Scottsdale, Arizona. So that's where I'm going to be for the next 5 months. And, I will create a little home there and connect and feel whatever I need to feel into there. And then we'll see what comes after that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. And I'm sure you're not going to miss every day the Michigan winters because I'm in
I will
Cleveland and
And I will never be in a Midwest winter or East Coast winter ever again. That is a statement. And so I said that statement 2 years ago, and I was out. And then when my mom passed, her sickness was through the winter. And so I had to be back here. And I said, okay, I'll be back here, but only for, obviously, for this one. Like, I need to be here with my mom. And, but it would, talking with her when she was in her last couple weeks, she was just so excited that I got out. We call it, in the
Mm.
Midwest, you kind of like say, do you get out,
Yeah.
away from winter is like the dream of having a house in
Yeah.
Florida or having a place in California. And she was like, don't let it stop you and keep you here in Michigan. And
Mm.
I was like, certainly not. I will be out next winter. So I'm just picking back up and continuing that journey.
Oh my gosh. So, what else is new for you?
Hmm.
Personally, professionally? What are you excited about this upcoming year?
I'm excited to turn 40. I know a lot of people who are not. Um, I'm like, this is going to be the best decade of my life. Like everything I want and dreamed of and know to be true for me and being comfortable in my skin. Um, I think that's something that comes with age too, that you don't realize is
Hmm.
it's so beautiful. So I'm looking forward to, I'm calling in a life partner and a child. I do believe that that's very close for me. So, maybe next year, if I'm on the podcast, I'll have a little baby at that time. So I'm
Yes.
calling family. Yeah, I'm calling him family and life partner. For my business, I'm looking to continue to grow my brand. I'm on the cusp of hiring a PR agent. I want to be, like you talk about the Lewis House Summit, I want to
Yeah.
be a speaker at the Lewis House Summit. I want to be on stage like Gabby Bernstein,
Mm.
potentially maybe write a book. So I'm looking to take my brand to the next level and try to reach as many people as I possibly can with this message.
Why not? And
Yeah.
speaking, right? I mean, Lewis is a Midwest guy. He's from Columbus, Ohio. So tell us a little bit about the summit. I wanted to go so badly. I had other commitments this year. So I hope he continues to do it. And I love that he goes back to his hometown and does it. So tell me, it was 5 days or something, right? It was like a long day or a
Yeah. So
long
the
couple of days.
Yeah, it was a long couple days. The summit was 3 days, and he will have it every year. The only reason he didn't have it was because of COVID and everything, but
Hmm.
he's always going to have it there at the Sheridan in Ohio at the Ohio Theater.
Yeah,
And it's a great venue, unless he gets too big, because I don't know how many people that holds. It was about
sure.
half full this time, but we're just coming back.
Okay.
I think he said in the previous years they had sold it out more.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's 3 days. The first day is kind of like register, expo, get to know everybody. And then they have a couple smaller workshops, paid workshops that you
Hmm.
can go to. And, his three pillars are business, relationships, and health. And so he
Yep.
had one on relationships, he had one on branding, your mission, your core values, which I
Yeah.
think go hand in hand with everything. And then one on health as well too. So we went to the branding one. My friend and I, we decided to go to the branding one, and it was amazing. The greatness staff. He has a greatness
Hmm.
staff, like staff on hand is branding and all that. They did it, and it was really good. And you're just connecting with other people. And then they had a festival at night. So outside, if you're from Columbus, you know that there by the Ohio Theater, they have that little amphitheater area.
Yeah.
And the festival was great. There was a DJ and food trucks, and everybody's just getting to know each other. The first day, so Friday, the first full day, it was Michael Beckwith,
Oh,
Dr. Carolyn Leaf. We love her for her brain gut connection. Um, oh my gosh, and Rory Vaden, who
oh,
is actually the
yeah.
publisher of Lewis House's book, and he's his branding
Yep.
agent.
Mhm.
And then they had the Alex Simon band, which Alex Simon was on Stomp on Broadway. He was the
Yeah.
MC, and they were doing all the drums, hyping everybody up. And
Yeah.
he had his brother playing violin, and it was pretty amazing. And then that night there was what did we do that night? There was a North Market, a festival or a little get together at the North Market where they have all the vendors and just a party and then an after party
Mm.
after. where everybody just got to meet each other and dance and have fun. He loves dancing, you know.
Yeah.
And then the final day, yeah, the final day, the full day on Saturday was, this was a really fun day. It was Gabby Bernstein, Dr. Mariel Dubuque, um, who else was there? In Q, who is like a health poet, basically
Oh,
slam poetry for like living your life to the fullest. He was
okay.
incredible. Erwin McManus, I loved
Hmm.
him. I had never heard of him, but I will now be
Yeah.
like reading his books and following him. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but at the end of the day, then we had a huge party at like a bar called Kemba Live, and Wyclef Jean
Oh my
performed.
gosh.
Yeah, it was like crazy. And they jumped, Wyclef Jean and Lewis Howes were on the theater, and they did crowd surfing and
Yeah.
dance all night, and it was just incredible. But for people like us, or and anybody who, it's not always easy to meet like-minded people in your four
Right.
foot radius, in your circle.
Yeah.
And I people I don't know if people like when I say this, but I really do believe like it's really hard to excel in your hometown. Sometimes you need to get out
Mm.
of your hometown to be around different people. But when you commit to going summits like this, and you're around 1,000 like-minded people like
Yeah.
you just radiate energy when you're back. And
Hmm.
so, I'm pumped from being there, and I wish I could go to one every quarter. I want to go to one every quarter like that, because it just brings so much light into your life, and you can bring so much
Hmm.
back for you and for the community.
Yeah. I agree. It is so important to take a break from our routines. Like I love my routines and I'm so disciplined about it, but taking a step out and like you said, being in contact with other like-minded folks and you can learn from them. The energy feels amazing. And I do hope that we are able to continue to do more of these. We all stay healthy and we're able to have more of these events in person. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you at the next one then, Jack.
Yeah, I definitely. I pre-bought my ticket, so I'll be there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Any big takeaways for you? Were there any aha moments?
Yes, yeah, some very big takeaways. Some of the biggest takeaways are just those tiny little moments where you start to understand, like, that, one of the things that happened, Lewis Howes ended up falling in his hotel room, in his bathroom, 2 days
Oh my
before
God.
this happened, and he bruised his arm. And
Oh
it
my
was a
gosh.
funny story because he was like so excited. He was running around in his towel, and he was like, Summit of Greatness, I'm so excited. And he slipped and he fell. But leading up to that, he was basically like cursing out the hotel because they hadn't had any upgrades post COVID, and things weren't working. Many people were complaining. And
Mm.
and his girlfriend looked at him and was like, you've been complaining a lot about this hotel. You think it was like trying to get back at you? Said it in like a nice way. And it's kind of one of those things where that ended up being the theme of the whole summit, is what you put out, the energy you put out, what you're
Yeah.
saying, the way you're acting is 100%, 110% what comes back to
Mm.
you tenfold. So who do you
Hmm.
want to be? How do you want to show up? What type of people do you want to attract in your life? And when you see someone who's doing something you want to do, to see that as driftwood, like it's literally happening in front of you, so it's possible for you.
Yeah.
And I manifested a lot of things happening this weekend, and everything came true the exact way I wanted it to. And I thought, like, wow, the power of my mind is so beyond what I
Hmm.
ever believed. And so that, I think, as a whole, that was my biggest takeaway, is, you know, just to really step into less complaining, more compassion,
Yeah.
more empathy, and higher source of living, continuing to strengthen my relationship with God, to continue to strengthen my relationship with myself, because you get one shot at this
Yeah.
life, like you really do. And that's it. And who wants to live it like hating it or just not happy,
Oh
so.
my gosh. Well, that's a great segue into my question on what it means to you to live the width of your life and how do you do that in your own life?
Yeah, this is, I think, a tough question. This is a tough question to answer. I don't know if anyone else has that, but it's because there's so many things that I really do feel like it means to live the width of your life. But if I had to sum it up, I would say that it's to find joy in
Mm.
every day, no matter how small or how big it is, and to really have gratitude for everything you have, every person that comes in your life, whether it's good or bad, and to continuously believe, have faith, and trust that you can do and be anything that you set out to be at any point in your life.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And it isn't an easy question to answer, but I think that when we do answer it for ourselves, that's the first step to be able to say, am I living that way? And
Mhm.
where do I need to make adjustments in order to find that daily joy and the gratitude?
I love that.
Jaclyn,
Great.
yes. And
I'm
so,
gonna play
how can,
it
what's
back.
that?
I'm gonna play that back over and over once this podcast comes out. Just keep reminding
It
myself.
record it, it'll be your daily mantra affirmation.
Absolutely.
How can this community and my audience, how can we best support you?
Yeah. Well, how can I best support you guys? That's my whole goal in life is to
Yeah.
support you. I find so much strength in community, and because I can't really be in one place and have everyone in one place yet, hopefully one day, like Lewis does,
Mhm.
the best place to find that community is in my private Facebook group because right now there's over I think over 1,200 women who are all on their gut healing journey or health healing
Mm.
journey. And that's a place to like ask questions and find people. And you can search that. It's called Beat the Bloat with JRW. That's a great way. And then my latest supportive thing that I have for everybody out there so that they can take charge of their health and they can learn about holistic health is a free mini course. It has 6 modules, learning about holistic health, understanding about your body, a whole detox me guide of not detoxes in like not eating food or juicing, detoxing your life, like creating sacred space for healing, your environment inside your home, your the way that you drink water, or your toxic overload, and it's super helpful. So you can get that mini course. I think you said you're going to share the link
I
later.
will. Yeah, I'll include all of these details in the show notes because I do want people to find you. I find everything that you share to be so on Instagram, especially if they follow you there. You share so much. I love all your TikTok videos, which are great. Thank you for your generosity of spirit. Thank you for sharing, for giving back everything you've learned in your own journey with others. I know that you're very committed to helping people on their own wellness journey. And so I do hope that people take you up on your free resources that you have to offer. And it was just wonderful spending time with you today, Jaclyn. And if there's anything else we can do, let me know. And if you are listening or watching and you like today's episode, please subscribe, like it, share it so that others hear this message as well. Thank you so much for your time today, Jaclyn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you being here so much. Make sure you subscribe because every week you'll hear stories from people just like you. I hope you'll be inspired to dream again, to break out of your comfort zones, to create more joy and mindfulness, and live the life that you always wanted to live. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and family and leave a review. It would mean so much to me. Have an amazing day.